Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's TechnoTuner. I play a little bit of casual, I play a little bit of meta, but at the end of the day, I'm here to have some fun. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some quick test hands from White Forest Azamina Toy Box. This deck is basically one of my fun, favorite casual-ish rogue decks to play. In this case, you know how I usually do. I just usually do a couple test hands while shuffling up the deck. I'll walk you through each combo as I get them. So in this case, we're going to try and go first and establish a board that'll allow us to move forward. So for this, we're going to go ahead and start. We have the following. All right, so we'll go ahead and activate Deceptions of Sinful Spoils, sending Bestial Magnemut from our hand to the grave, allowing us to add an Azamina card. We'll go ahead and add the Hallowed Azamina. From here, we will activate the Hallowed Azamina, sending the one Deception of Sinful Spoils from the field to the grave to summon Azamina Mu Recleo. This will allow us to add one Azamina or Sinful Spoils card from our deck to our hand. In this case, we're going to want to add Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. We'll go ahead and activate Wanted, allowing us to add a Diabellstar the Black Witch. Go ahead and get Diabellstar the Black Witch and send Wanted to the graveyard. We'll next activate Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, placing Deception on the bottom of the deck by banishing Wanted. Yep. Okay, just making sure. To draw one card, we got Witch of the White Forest. We'll next special summon Diabellstar by discarding one other card, or sending one card from my hand, which is Curse of Diabell, which allows us to get Filia Diabell from deck to hand. We'll go ahead and get Filia Diabell. We'll go ahead and activate Filia Diabell, allowing us to add Diabellstar Vengeance from deck to hand. Then we could do Diabellstar Vengeance effect. We can banish one spell and trap from our graveyard, special summon it. Filia Diabell boosts all our Diabellstar monsters or Diabell monsters by 500 attack. Okay. Next, we'll go ahead and activate Witch of the White Forest, allowing us to add one White Forest card from our deck to our hand. We want to get LZ. We can activate LZ effect to special summon it by sending Infinite Impermanence. LZ effect will allow us to add one Sylvie of the White Forest, which we'll go ahead and normal summon. We'll normal summon Sylvie. Sylvie effect to get us a spell or trap. In this case, what we're going to be doing is getting us a Tales of the White Forest. Next, we'll go ahead and synchro these two off into our Reclea Sinister Soul of the White Forest. We'll go ahead and send Tales of the White Forest to add a White Forest monster, which will be Rukia. We'll go ahead and special summon the Rukia after we set the Tails from the effect, because in chain it would be Reclea as one chain, the Tails would activate on the next chain, and then Rukia we can activate after the Tails is set. We can activate Rukia effect if we choose to send one to draw one, but in this case we really don't need to, as we are locked into lights for the rest of the turn and anything that isn't dark. So we'll go ahead and take Rukia, Diabellstar, and Reclia, and go directly into Selene, Master of Magicians, to then bring back Diabellstar, the Black Witch. Or, in other cases, what we can do is instead of Diabellstar, we can bring right back Elzette. So we'll bring back Elzette in defense, since we have more than enough between spells and traps on the field. Then we'll go ahead and activate Rukia or Sylvian Grave to special summon by shuffling this back into the extra. We'll go ahead and shuffle this back into the extra deck to summon Sylvie. What we can do next is go into either access code, or if you want to, we could leave it here. But what I want to do first is activate Tales of the White Forest to allow me to get one Elzette Azamina of the White Forest. So we're going to continue off from there and then go and reveal Elzette, special summon Elzette. We'll synchro with these two into... We'll do Silvera, and then sync with these two into Diabell, Queen of the White Forest. Diabell effect will then let me get either Tails or Hallowed Azamina back to hand. In this case, I want Tails back to hand because what I can do is I can shuffle back Elzette Azamina of the White Forest to add Hallowed back to hand. Then what we can do here is special summon Rukia by shuffling back Silvera. So, from this board, what we have accomplished is essentially Selene, Diabellstar Vengeance, Reclego, Diabell, and Rukia, along with one negate. From here, what we can do during the opponent's turn is, if we control another Diabell monster, we can pay half our life points, pop a card, and then special summon one tuner, synchro monster, or spell that's illusion or spellcaster from our extra deck. In this case, we're going to summon Poplar during our opponent's turn, and Poplar effect will then let us place two White Forest monsters in the graveyard, place them face up in owner's spell and trap zone. So we'll place Elzette and Sylvie. Then we can quick synchro with this one and Diabell, because we can also use her effect to summon Poplar, which we probably should, by discarding Tails to reset Tails. Sorry, my combo's a little all over the place today. Which would let us go into our level 12 Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. Vengeance Dragon, then we could target one monster on the field or in either graveyard, place into face-up spell and trap zone of the opponent's board or our board. During the battle phase, you can target one monster and one continuous spell on the field and destroy them. So you can destroy either your field, your two White Forest monsters, or you destroy the one that was placed in the back row for your opponent. Well, okay. So say if they passed, what do we do next? Well, we drew into this. So what we can do next here is we could take these two, send them to the graveyard, and go into our Snake Eyes Doomed Dragon. This lets us place another monster in the spell and trap zone that has been special summoned as a continuous spell. Then from here, we can basically swing out for a lot of damage. We could take Selene and Rukia and make our access code and swing for game, while we also still have our searches for this turn. Overall, that was one combo that you can do with a really weird hand if there was no interaction from your opponent. Alright, so for hand number 2, we start off with Witch of the White Forest, Wanted, Sylvie, Rukia, and Deception of the Sinful Spoils, which is pretty good. So, for what we're going to do here, we're going to go ahead and activate Deception of the Sinful Spoils, sending the one Rukia that we have in our hand to the graveyard. We'll then go ahead and add, from our deck to our hand, a Hallowed the Azamina. From what we can do here is activate the Hallowed Azamina, sending Deception of the Sinful Spoils, to then summon Azamina Reclego. Reclego effect would then allow us to add LZ, Azamina of the White Forest, from our deck to our hand. Next, what we can do is normal summon Sylvie, activate Sylvia effect to add a spell. We'll go ahead and add Tales of the White Forest. We will next go ahead and activate Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, allowing us to go ahead and add to our hand a Diabell Star, the Black Witch. From here, we have a couple of routes we can go. We can activate Witch of the White Forest and then send it off of Diabell Star, or what we can do is we can reveal Elza Azamina of the White Forest, special summon it, and then synchro summon with these two into a level 6, which would be our Reclea. Reclea effect would allow us to add a White Forest monster by discarding one spell or trap. We'll discard Tails, which will then reset itself on resolution. We'll go ahead and add that Elza of the White Forest. From here, what we'll do is activate the Hallowed Azamina in our graveyard, add it back to hand by placing or shuffling back Elza Azamina of the White Forest back into our deck. We'll go ahead and do that. Next, we'll go ahead and special summon Diabell Star, the Black Witch, by sending from our field Tales of the White Forest. Diabell Star effect will allow us to go ahead and set a Sinful Spoils card from our deck to our field. From this, we will go ahead and set our, wherever it is, Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. Off of this, what we'll do next is we'll special summon Elzet by sending the Sinful Spoils that we set from our board to the graveyard. Sinful Spoils will then reset itself, and Elzet will allow us to summon one from deck. Add a White Forest monster from deck to hand, if I remember correctly. Yep. So we'll add one White Forest monster. We've already sent the Rukia, so what we want to do here in this case, in adding a White Forest, is probably add the Esteller for next turn. We'll go ahead and add the one Esteller that we have in our deck to our hand. We'll next synchro with these two into Diabell, Queen of the White Forest. Once we get to Diabell, she allows us to add a spell from our graveyard to our hand. We'll go ahead and add Tails back to our hand. We'll next go ahead and activate Hallowed Azamina, sending Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to fusion summon out Azamina Il Sylvia. This allows us to have an Omni Negate on board if we need to. We'll next go ahead and activate Wanted that is in our wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils by banishing it to place Sinful Spoils of the White Forest on the bottom of our deck and then draw a card. We drew into one infinite impermanence, which is pretty decent for what we need. From here, what we can do is special summon the Rukia from our graveyard by shuffling back the Reclia Sinister Soul of White Forest. Which will let us go into a level 10 if we wish. In this case, I'm going to take Rukia and Ruklago, and go into our level 10, which would be that of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel has the effect where we can banish a card, and since a light or dark was used, all our monsters are unaffected by monsters' activated effects from our opponent, and monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. So what we can do from here to continue on is we can activate a Witch of the White Forest, allowing us to get a White Forest monster from our deck to our hand for next turn. In this case, we're going to go ahead and grab our Sylvie to allow us to get another spell or trap next turn if we need it. Off of this, we already have our next turn where we can set one infinite impermanence in our back row. We have a quick send for our one tuner summon from our extra deck. In this case, depending if we need a Book of Moon, we can summon Silvera, but if we want to do a quick synchro, we could do Poplar to play something in the back row for Vengeance Dragon. We still have a Omni Negate, and our monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, which is a pretty decent board straight up. All right, moving into our final hand where we're going to be going second. All right, so what we're going to draw is one Seeker of the Sinful Spoils, Elza of the White Forest, Hallowed Azamina, Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, Bestial Sarnier, and since we're going second, we'll draw on Toy Soldier. Okay, so what we can do from this, we can set the Toy Soldier, activate Elzet of the White Forest effect, special summon it, sending the Toy Soldier from our field to the graveyard, which will trigger Elzet effect and Toy Soldier effect. Toy Soldier effect to special summon itself and then add a toy box. Elzet effect to add a White Forest monster. We'll go ahead and add that Sylvie. Up next, we'll go ahead and activate the toy box. The toy box will let us then set from our deck to our board one Toy Soldier and one Toy Tank. Go ahead and set the Toy Soldier, and we'll set the Toy Tank. We'll next activate the wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils to then add a Diabellstar, the Black Witch, from our deck to our hand. We'll go ahead and activate Diabellstar effect, special summon it by sending Toy Tank. We'll summon Toy Tank on resolution, but Diabellstar will get us a Deception of Sinful Spoils from our deck to our field. We'll go ahead and activate that Deception of Sinful Spoils, distributing off the Toy Tank to go ahead and get us a Elzet Azamina of the White Forest. We'll next reveal Elzet Azamina of the White Forest and Sylvie, allowing us to special summon Sylvie of the White Forest, and Sylvie of the White Forest effect will trigger, allowing us to add a White Forest spell. In this case, we're going to add Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. We will next go ahead and synchro with these two into our Reclia. Reclia effect will allow us to go ahead and discard or send from our field. We'll send Sinful Spoils to add a White Forest monster. We'll go ahead and add that Rukia. Well, actually, we'll add a Stellar instead. From here, Sinful Spoils of the White Forest will set itself. And what we can do here is go ahead and activate Hallowed Azamina. Hallowed Azamina will allow us to send LZ and Deception, or excuse me, not LZ and Azamina, sorry. We'll send Deception and Sinful Spoils of the White Forest from our field to go ahead and summon Saint Azamina, which basically makes it to where our opponent can't target any of the monsters that they control, or this card on the field with card effects. However, I can still quick fusion during my turn, since it was fusion summoned this turn. We'll next go ahead and summon Bestial Saronir by banishing from our graveyard one Sylvia the White Forest. We'll go ahead and then Synchro Summon into Chaos Angel from here, to let us banish one card on our opponent's board. We'll next go ahead and normal summon the Esteller. A Stellar effect, we can send one spell or trap on our field, which we'll go ahead and send the Toy Box. To special summon one, but since our board is filled, we cannot do that. So we'll just go ahead and Synchro up into Diabell instead. Diabell effect will allow us to add one spell from our graveyard back to our hand, and then we can discard a spell or trap to add a to special summon a Synchro Tuner from our extra deck to our deck, or to our field. We'll go ahead and add the Sinful Spoils of White Forest from our graveyard back to our hand. Up next, we'll go ahead and go directly with Saint Azamina effect to summon out Moa Regina, which allows us to pop 2 cards on the board. We'll then go ahead and activate Sinful Spoils of White Forest, fusing with the rest of the cards that we have in our hand, and the Diabell Star on our board, to go into Guardian Chimera, which allows us to go ahead and pop 1 card, but draw 2. So we'll go ahead and draw 2. Which is a Toy Box and a Sylvia the White Forest. From here, if we haven't already destroyed most of the board, we can still swing out for a lot of damage unto itself. And then we have the quick Synchro effect by discarding the Toy Box or sending the Toy Box from field. That should have already been sent. To grave, to go ahead and summon out Poplar during our opponent's turn, set 2 in the back row, and continue on. So this deck does offer a lot to do, as you can see. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. It definitely helps me out. Until next time, I hope you all have a great one.
Is it okay if I'm to say I'm catching feelings from all the dealings? Am I astray? What do you say? How are you feeling? Is it the same?